Hello everyone, this is Safdar Hussain from Park Institute for Peace Studies. Welcome to Peace Talks. Uh, Today with me is President Park Institute for Peace Studies, Muhammad Amir Rana, who has very deep insights on strategic and security situations, not only in Pakistan but in the region. We all know that the situation in our western neighborhoods, including Afghanistan and Iran, is not good at the moment. We had been in conflict with Afghanistan, and now the situation in Iran, how it is emerging, it may have very serious implications not only for Pakistan's economy and politics, but as well as for the security of the country. I would like to ask a question. You mentioned this confidence of Pakistan that had been increasing following Pakistan's engagement with the USA, with the Trump, and how Pakistan fared in the May incidents in terms of conflict with India. So we have a defense agreement with Saudi Arabia, and our army chief visited after this conflict with Saudi Arabia. So how do you see? Because so far we this confidence is still there. First thing. Secondly, if we are asked either by the Saudis or by Trump to join some side, so how do you see? Because the situation is very delicate. You know very well, starting from the Yemen decision, Pakistan didn't join the war then, and we have sectarian uh, problem at home that could exacerbate. You mentioned towards those protests. So, how do you see that confidence and how that confidence could react in terms of required responses from Saudi Arabia or the Trump?
Yeah, so you know that. So we had signed the defense pact last year with Saudi Arabia, and there was a lot of speculation made about this agreement and what does it mean in the context of if another standoff happened between India and Pakistan, and what if the horses in Yemen have create any challenge for Saudi Arabia on its border. Of course, we know that the Saudi Arabia has two particular security challenges. One is which comes from Yemen, and this is mainly the horses, and second is from the arms of resistance by Iran and from Iran itself. So this particular agreement being conceived in Saudi Arabia and in Gulf countries that if something happened as the situation was evolving, and there was a lot of speculation that all the conflict was started from Gaza, it will be culminate on the regime change in Iran. So there was already a lot of speculation, but we know that these kind of the strategic agreement, the both side doesn't share too much in public domain, and this is, I think, the character of our bilateral relations with Gulf countries, with the Saudi Arabia, UAE, and this is not particular about these are a Gulf partner, and we have the similar kind of the silent pact with China, and including that even Chinese they don't like if we want to share the details about the CPEC project. Of course, they are not the security centric or defense centric. It is purely economic and development project. So these kind of the what is the negative aspect of all these developments, or maybe the hiding all these details and the agreement, that the people and many analysts get confused and they start speculating that what does it mean, and this is going on right now. And what being made clear by Pakistan Foreign Office and by the Saudis officials that we are practice intact, and the time will test how reliable our partnership is. So I think the situation hasn't been entered into that critical phase that we can speculate and can assess that which side Pakistan will go. And if you recall, in my last op-ed in Dawn, I had mentioned that Pakistan may prefer balancing between both the covert support to Saudi Arabia and our diplomatic support to Iran. But of course, these are the testing time. But mainly, as you pointed out, Sardar, the biggest test for Pakistan would be that if the Trump had demanded the same as Bush Jr. had demanded after 9/11, either you are with us or not. In that case, what will happen? As we are discussing, that right now the Israel and US plan is to find the points, entry points in within Iran, and through the ethnic minority groups, those who are fighting for their rights or for their sovereignties. So this is maybe would be very critical. This is one aspect, and of course, Saudi Arabia will be involved in that. And Pakistan being several times been accused of that Pakistan, the US was using and probably is using few air bases of Pakistan. So in that case, of course, the Pakistan become the direct actor in this all this war game theater which is evolving. This is not only the particular angle or the aspect of our relationship with Saudi Arabia and our relationship with Iran, but the US is also a major factor.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much. But one another question that was just in my mind when you discussed all these aspects of this conflict, that maybe Pakistan understands the difficult situation it is in right now. So maybe that's why it has been trying to reach out to different countries
Hmm.
and trying to pacify the situation so that it doesn't get out of control. And as we see that the Iran has tried this horizontal escalation, going to different countries in the Gulf, and the situation would become even more risky, including for the countries like Pakistan. So, do you think when Pakistan is trying to re- reaching out to different countries in the Gulf and Iran as well, so it has that the inherent problem in the head that if it escalates further, would become more problematic for Pakistan.
Yeah, of course, it's already is bring a lot of challenges for Pakistan, not in economic terms, but as well we mentioned in the geopolitical domain and international security domains it brought a lot of change challenges for the country. But how Pakistan can deal with these challenges, this is, I think, the $1 million question. And so far, we are keeping the restraint and we are not choosing either side. So, this is the Pakistan typical diplomacy we had seen in the past. And one of the critical element, Safdar, is that when you try to keep this some neutral position, and specifically when the conflict is within your allies or the friends, so keeping this kind of restraints is a bit risky, and sometimes these fire back. May we recall the 2015, the Yemen war issue in the Pakistan had, after a long debate, had decided that we will not send our troops to Saudi Arabia to defend their borders on Yemen borders. And it was,
Yeah.
I think, the huge setback to Pakistan-Saudi Arabia relationship, and it had took almost 1 decade to repair and to build the similar confidence which we had before 2015. If you may recall, the King Suleiman had received Mia Nawaz Sharif at the airport and given him the red carpet. So these red carpets comes with your commitment sometime. But we know
Yeah,
that this is challenging. That if you will get the red carpet in Riyadh, you cannot get the same reception in Tehran.
yeah. Luckily, I think when we compare the situation with that Yemen situation, I think one thing is very clear that the Gulf countries, including the Saudi Arabia, at the moment, they are not believing that they initiated this war, and they don't even believe that they are part of this war. So that is something which is encouraging them to keep more restrained in their position. So Pakistan is also helping in that regard. So that is, I think, one thing we have uh, blessing in this situation, that the Gulf countries and Saudis themselves are not believing they are at war with Iran. It is only US and the Israel. So we will now come to the situation inside Pakistan. So I was reading few unverified reports that few deaths happened by this air fire within Pakistan's waters due to this conflict. So that has already then started, if it is true. So how do you see the implications for Pakistan? Not only this physical conflict, but also implications for the very you know, the militant landscape that is across the border with Iran. We have the Baloch insurgent group, so they are already wreaking havoc with the lives of the Pakistani people. So how do you see that?
Yeah, I think this is one of the most critical challenge the Pakistan is facing. That the anger level is very high among the certain religious segment in the country. Of course, everybody is grieved what is happening uh, in this region, and specifically what happened, the killing of the school girls, and it recalls everyone here the APS Peshawar and the similar kind of incident happened in Pakistan. Of course, when you kill the kids, the children, so it creates the more sympathy wave. But particularly the Shia organization, which been mobilizing all these protests, and what happened. You mentioned about what happened in Karachi. So this is one of the challenge that this anger is converting the ultra radical tendencies, and it could trigger to that into the violent extremism. So this is the biggest threat, and there's several scenarios. The one scenario is that if the US is particularly, and if Israel join them, they have launched their boot inside Iran. Maybe then the Al Quds, the IRGC, will call this all the proxies in this region to come and join, and we may see the restructuring of the Zenibiyun and Fatmiyun in Afghanistan, and maybe this time the Indian Shia Mujahideen also join this fight. And this is going to be a very critical challenge, that how Pakistan will stop these groups, and specifically when the Pakistan will have been in other camp in the Saudi Gulf or US camp, whatever should say. So we are talking in the scenarios. So this is the one, and what happened in Karachi, and this is not happened only in Karachi. What happened in Skardu and Gilgit, UN offices and all NGOs, Aga Khan offices being burned down, and in Islamabad there were several casualties being reported. Although the media covered on reported few, but there is a unconfirmed account saying maybe several, and in Lahore. So this is basically, if you may recall what had happened in 1979, if you have read this, the Ghoswa by Steve Cole, and then the siege of Makkah, all these publications, the books. start from not specifically siege of Makkah, it's the chapter in the middle, but specifically the Ghost War start with the bitter memories of the Islami Jamiat al-Talaba attack on the US embassy in Islamabad, and when they had burned down, and he tried to equate this what had happened in Tehran the similar time just after the Imam Khomeini's revolution there. So there were some bitter memories, and it had been repeatedly happened these incidents. And Pakistan security forces try to be stop these kind of the violent protest in Islam. So throughout the history, if you look at from 1709 to up to now, Karachi consulate, which is located as a very critical sector, and Islamabad has been secure. This is not the case of the US embassy, but when the TLP had launched attack protest against France, so they were almost reached close to the French embassy because it's right at the entrance of the diplomatic enclave in Pakistan. So the threat level is high. And if something happened, and if you look at the protester, they had breached the first security wall at the US consulate.
Yes.
And if they did something, I think the 1979 we had in a very deep strategic partnership with the US, and US had tolerated the casualties and what the losses had happened in Islamabad. But these are very different times, and of course, this is the Pakistan security operators, the police, the law enforcement agencies need to be take this very carefully. I think the vigilance level being evolved after the initial incidents, and what we are watching here in Islamabad, you are sitting in the cold environment of Europe, but we are feeling the heat here in Islamabad. So it's been red zone being protected, the containers being covered all year. Because the next Friday, maybe this Friday, it's depend on the when the Idul Fitr will be announced. So Yom Ul Quds is very special even for the Shia organization, especially the Shia Islamist organization like ISO, Wahdatul Muslimin. They launched these attacks and the protest, and if
Yes.
it turned violent, I think it's bring a big challenge for the country.
Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. That's very enlightening, basically. So we have different shades of radicalism, and this shade can also be added into that if situation gets out of control. We have already TLP.
This is the related to the religiously driven extremism or that reaction, protests, whatever. So, what about the situation in Balochistan? Because their trade mostly that is halted, and not only trade is halted, but it could have implications for the Baloch insurgent groups as well for the security of the province. What about that?
Yeah, I think the Balochistan would be the region which will impacted by the evolving situation. There is four aspects. First, the highest level of the threat for Pakistan security agencies, operators that may be the Mossad and the CIA or Western spying agencies try to infiltrate within the Baloch insurgents, and specifically the groups operating on the other side, like Jaish-ul-Adal, which recently has formed the People's Fighter Front, and he had developed alliance with smaller group to launch their resistance against the Ayatollah's regime. So if it will happen, so it will create the very messy situation. The second is that the Baloch insurgents, which are operating from Pakistan soil, few of them were depending or they had developed the good relation or the working relation with IRGC, Quds Force, and maybe they will be engaged. So this is also a very critical equation in this context. If the People's Fighters Front
Mm-hmm.
commonly known as Jashul Adal, has did
Mm-hmm.
anything in Iran. So these are the two perspectives. So Tehran is very skeptical about the situation on the borders with Pakistan. It's not very clear that who's operating. They think that Jaish-ul Adal is funded, operated by the Saudi Arabia, and local accounts say confirm this somehow. So these are the two perspective, and the third is that uh, this is getting these bordering region getting very soft. So there is a probability that Al Qaeda, which is maybe in Iran and Afghanistan, they come and they find new bases in this area. I guess we cannot rule out. So and the fourth is in the context of the human smuggling, particularly drug smuggling. So these networks will get very active, and you may know that Taliban had put a lot of restrictions on poppy cultivations, and reports were coming that the many of the former they have relocated themselves inside Balochistan, and the Pakistan's narcotics force has taken several actions and destroyed the crops. But still, I think these are the very particular challenges which is will emerge only in the border security domain.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, because Afghanistan is close by, and our relationship with Iran, and what kind of the alliances we will develop in future with Saudi Arabia, uh, proxy warfare, and how it will take shape. So this is multi-layered situation, and the crisis will emerge in this region.
Yes, yes, that's visible. Thank you very much. So now we will try to conclude this our conversation. So I will ask one very particular question, that how do you see the situation going, where it's going, and two three plausible scenarios. And obviously if it de-escalates, that's good for everyone, including for the Pakistan. But if it is not de-escalating and it escalates further, so in that situation, what Pakistan could do, and what will happen to the security situation of the country?
Yeah, this is very important question. With this is a nightmare for Pakistan how the situation is evolving. But the there's a three probable scenario. The first, that if Iran regime resisted and there is no regime change and it survive, of course it will enter into another political dialogue phase with the US, with the West, with the Gulf. But then if Pakistan uh, ties with Saudi Arabia have not been tested. So this is good scenarios, and maybe there will be a confidence building between Iran and Pakistan, and they will come and to do something to do the secure border with Iran, especially the certain groups are operating. So this is the one of the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
The second scenario, if there is a regime change and it's a peaceful transition, which is so far impossible because then we see a new wave of nationalism in Iran. Uh, so this is also a good scenario for Pakistan because we had not a very cordial relationship with Ayatollah since 1979, and it was a bit challenging for Pakistan, and even in the context of this Iran Pakistan gas pipeline context. So this will be a good news that if we will see a new phase of relationship, a new emerging bloc in West Asia, and Iran wouldn't be adversary in new strategic scenario. The worst is the civil war. Civil war spillover effect will certainly come inside Balochistan, maybe in other parts of the country, and that's why this is the rising radicalism among Shia youth is very critical, both in regional context and domestic context.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rana. Let's hope the third scenario we don't get to that, and the situation become peaceful and de-escalates and becomes for Pakistan especially and for the region, because we have already seen how Pakistani people have started to suffer in terms of the cost of the fuel and the inflation wave already entering their daily life, especially during the Ramadan month of Ramadan, when there should not be such thing. I think. But that is a political question. Thank you very much, Mr. Amir Rana, and for this very insightful discussion and talk. We will be in touch with you and will be seeking your deep information and analysis on different regional and security situations. I hope our viewers will like this discussion, and we will wait for their suggestions and
You must
comments.
mention that this is a very exclusive Pits Talk series, and those haven't subscribed our channel yet, they have
Yes.
similar kind of thing that discussions in future.
Yeah, that's requested basically. Please subscribe to Pips Talk channel, and we will appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice talking.